We are now just 4 days away from a potential government shutdown unless Democrats and Republicans can reach an agreement. Coming up at 6, how San Diegans could be impacted by this.
And the nation's former top cop, now a criminal defendant. What we know about the indictment of James Comey. Plus, a major freeway closure happening this weekend. You're going to want to know about. CBS 8's Vanessa Paz will go over the alternate routes.
You're watching CBS 8 Mornings at 6.
Here we are, last day of the week for you, Friday at 6 a.m. I'm Eric Connert.
And I'm Netta Iranpour. Glad you're with us here. And let's get ready for the weekend and the air show. It's a big weekend in San Diego.
Right.
I feel like we say that every weekend.
It is.
Really.
Every weekend is a big weekend.
We have a lot
We always
going
say
on.
Padres game tonight.
all eyes on the skies, and that's going to be the case.
Yeah.
Right, and I mean, in San Diego, it makes it pretty easy to do. We typically have fair weather.
Right.
At least we have over the last, 5 months or so, been enjoying very pleasant conditions each weekend. This weekend is going to be no different. I will say the biggest changes to watch for: cooler temperatures and cloudier skies. There are going to be some showers that could pop up at times this morning and again through Saturday morning and afternoon. But as you can see, the forecast in general shows just cloudy skies along the coast today. 70 out by the coast, 72 inland, and that's a cool down from the 80s of yesterday and from the 90s of just Tuesday. So about a 20-degree drop in temperatures from earlier this week. Here's a live look outside downtown San Diego. We're about 40 minutes shy of sunrise. It's looking mighty fine out there. Not a lot of fog to watch for. And through the weekend, we'll be seeing those temperatures mostly in the 70s by the beach. Not by any means an encouragement to avoid the beach, but just be prepared for slightly cooler temperatures and maybe bring a sweater with you as you head out to the coast. I'll send things back over to Vanessa with a check of traffic.
Hey, and good morning to everyone tuning in. Happy Friday. Finally made it to the end of the week. All right, here's what it looks like on the 805. Smooth sailing at last check as you make your way in from the South Bay, which is good news as you head out the door this morning. Let's go ahead and switch gears because we are tracking some activity in the North County. This is on the 78 West right at Nordal, and this is the westbound drive coming at your screen. You could see that there is activity on the far shoulder there. It looks like there's a crash involving a couple of cars, and that's right at the 78 where it meets Nordal. So keep that in mind as you travel through that pocket this morning. We have reports of another incident. It looks like there's a car reportedly that crashed into a ditch, and this is on the 94 right at Euclid. All right, let's go ahead and zoom on out. A big reminder, we still have that weekend closure happening on the 5 northbound from the 8 all the way towards Mission Bay Drive. That begins tonight, folks, 9 o'clock. Lasting all the way through early Monday at 5 a.m. We'll give you more details in about 8 minutes in terms of how you can get around that and some of the alternate routes that you could opt for. That's all ahead. Back to you.
Vanessa, thank you very much. And now this morning, there is no deal in sight to keep the federal government up and running.
Now there's mounting concerns that a shutdown could have a ripple effect on people here in San Diego. CBS 8's Chris Groh live downtown to explain who could be impacted by this. Chris?
Yeah, we're talking tens of thousands of federal workers that call San Diego County home. And then on top of that, of course, we know there could be impacts to the military that also call San Diego County base and home as well, too. So let's go through what these impacts could be, starting off with the fiscal implications to these federal workers. Of course, we know that with a shutdown, you could see many of them put on furlough, which means they would continue to work, but without pay. But there also could be layoffs. In fact, the White House Office of Management and Budget told federal agencies recently to consider reducing their workforce if a shutdown begins and if employees, quote, work is not consistent with the president's priorities. Now, many of those workers are represented by a union here in town, American Federation of Government Employees, who told CBS 8 in a statement that their employees deserve stability and respect, not pink slips and political games. Now, yesterday in Oceanside, California Senator Adam Schiff and Congressman Mike Levin said that they want to get a deal done, but they also want to make sure that there is a plan in place to extend tax credits under the Affordable Care Act, something that Democrats are fighting for in this budget. Take a listen.
Inside, for example, a family of 4, a medium family of 4, they can expect their premiums in the marketplace to go up by $952 for the year. Almost a $1,000 increase.
Well, what they're really asking for is they want to pay for illegal aliens that have come into our country by the millions and get onto the rolls, and they want to pay, and our people don't want to do that.
And September 30th, again, is the deadline here that both Republicans and Democrats are trying to get a deal done before then so that we avoid a government shutdown. Eric and Netta?
Chris, thank you for that. This morning, former FBI Director James Comey is expected to surrender. In fact, this is a live picture from his home. He's been indicted on 2 federal counts days after the president publicly urged his attorney general to pursue charges. I apologize that live shot dropped out.
Last night, Comey proclaimed his innocence in a social media post. Here's CBS's Jared Hill now with the very latest.
James Comey, once the nation's top cop, now under criminal indictment.
I have great confidence in the federal judicial system, and I'm innocent. So let's have a trial.
The former FBI director is set to be arraigned in a Virginia federal courtroom in 2 weeks. Thursday, a grand jury indicted Comey on 2 charges: obstruction of a congressional proceeding and making a false statement, both connected to Comey's testimony before a Senate committee in 2020, during which he denied authorizing the leak of information to the press 4 years earlier.
My family and I have known for years that there are costs to standing up to Donald Trump.
Last night on Instagram, Comey called out President Trump, who fired him in 2017. The indictment comes less than a week after the president publicly urged Attorney General Pam Bondi to pursue cases against Comey and other political rivals. Last Friday, he says he fired the previous U.S. attorney in Virginia who wouldn't pursue charges. He was replaced by White House aide Lindsey Halligan, who did file the charges. Last night, President Trump claimed victory on social media, posting "Justice in America."
I can only say that Comey's a bad person. He's a sick person. I think he's a sick guy, actually. He did terrible things at the FBI.
Top congressional Democrats are slamming the indictment as an attack on the rule of law and a dangerous abuse of power. Jared Hill, CBS News.
According to court documents, the grand jury rejected an additional count of lying to Congress. The federal judge assigned to the case is a Biden appointee. This morning, we are learning Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth is taking the unusual step of calling hundreds of generals and admirals to meet with him. The meeting is set for next Tuesday at the Quantico Marine Corps Base in Virginia. A gathering of this size, in person and on such short notice, is considered extremely rare, if not unprecedented.
This morning, there's a new deal to keep TikTok running here in the U.S. while meeting national security concerns. President Trump signed an executive order yesterday to put TikTok under U.S. ownership. This deal would give TikTok's U.S. assets to a group of mostly American investors, including Oracle and Fox Corporation. It is not final yet and requires China's approval. During this signing that you see there, President Trump indicated Chinese President Xi Jinping had approved the deal.
An update this morning to a story we brought you yesterday. The Midway Rising project is one step closer to becoming a reality. Here's the renderings here. The San Diego Planning Commission voted unanimously in favor of recommending the San Diego City Council to approve this proposal. Now, this project would transform the 49-acre sports arena site in the Midway district. It would allow developers to build more than 4,000 housing units, including 2,000 affordable units, 8 acres of public parks, and a 16,000-seat multi-purpose entertainment center replacing the 59-year-old Pechanga Arena. The project now heads to the Land Use and Housing Committee for a vote. I know specifically the San Diego Gulls would really like a new and more modern arena.
That would change everything that we know it around there.
Mock-ups look beautiful,
Right.
but I know that there's a lot of steps between
Of
where we are today and that.
Long way still.
It's cloudy out there. We do have some breaks in the clouds, though. You can already see that once the sun comes up in about a half hour, we should get a little bit of light peeking through. We call this fractured cloud cover, meaning that overwhelmingly 90 to 95% of the sky is covered in clouds, but you do get those little fractures in the clouds that allow you to be reminded that we will get some sunshine in the afternoon forecast. It's going to be limited. We'll be hard pressed to see that sun today, but through Saturday and Sunday, even out by the coast, we should see at least a bit of it. 72 on Saturday, 73 on Sunday out by our beach specifically. But if we're looking across the valleys, we should see a little bit more of that sunshine and slightly warmer temperatures. Satellite radar here showing that those clouds are inundating the coast, the valleys, the mountains from the international border up through about central California. When we zoom in here, you can see how satellite radar has shown that, number one, radar isn't giving us much rain, so there isn't much rain to contend with, even though that is a possibility. Light rain, drizzle, mist, all the way through the next couple of hours. But especially going into tomorrow afternoon, that should be something to watch for. Second thing is that our satellite imagery is agreeing with some breaking apart of those clouds. So that could be good news if you're hoping for at least a little bit of the sun peeking through in the next couple hours. Our rain chances climb dramatically across the mountains, up to 50% by tomorrow afternoon, and then they start to sink by Sunday, down to 22%, a much better opportunity for dry skies going through next week. And as far as your temperatures go, we will start to see a little bit of a climb through the weekend and into early next week. We'll still stay in the 70s, and this is across the valleys, which is largely unheard of in the summertime. So now that we're finally starting to feel much more like fall, that fall weather has ensued, it looks like we'll stick with it and hold a steady grip on it at least through the middle of next week. Vanessa Paz checking in on how traffic is shaping up. Looks like there's already plenty of people out there on the roads.
Yeah, it's starting to pick up. I mean, when I was traveling out the door, things were getting pretty busy on the 805. So yeah, maybe a little thick for you this morning, depending on where you're going. This is the 805 traveling northbound, and this is coming from Home Avenue as you make your way towards that 15 connector. Pretty smooth sailing, but we are seeing, again, light brake tapping already on the 805 coming in from Chula Vista. Here's what it looks like in both directions on the 78 West at Nordal. That's the eastbound drive. Left side of your screen is the westbound drive as you exit the Escondido area traveling towards San Marcos. Notice how we have some activity still lingering on the shoulder there, and it looks like that's due to a crash. The CAD reported a crash on the 78 West at Nordal about 45 minutes ago, and it looks like it's still active. 15 South, meanwhile, right at Adams, we're tracking another crash, and this may slow things down if you're making your way northbound towards the Mission Valley area. Despite it being a southbound incident, it will likely cause brake tapping for those who are headed up towards that 8 interchange. All right, anywhere between 10 to nearly 30 minutes right now to get you southbound in from Encinitas as well as Escondido. If you're traveling on the 78 from the 15 all the way towards the 5, it'll take you about 15 minutes at last check. Here's what it looks like coming in from the East County on the 94, the 8, as well as the 52. We're still so far so good. Pretty smooth sailing for those drives. Average speeds anywhere between 65, 70 miles per hour, and travel times anywhere between 5 to 7 minutes or so. Here's what it looks like coming northbound in from the South Bay, about 15 minutes or so inbound from San Isidro to the 94. If you're coming in from the 54 up to the 8, about 9 minutes. And we're continuing to crawl full span of the Coronado Bridge in from downtown towards Coronado, 15 minutes. That's typically a 3-minute drive. At last check, it'll take you about 15 minutes or so, and we're tapping the brake speeds down to about 9 miles per hour. All right, we do have a traffic alert. The time is 6:12. Listen in. If you use the 5 North, pay attention. Starting tonight from the 8 all the way to Mission Bay Drive, the 5 North will be closed for road work. The closure will take effect at 9 o'clock and last all the way through 5 a.m. Monday. Drivers headed northbound on I-5 are advised to take alternate routes such as the 163, 15, or the 805 past the 8 to connect to I-5. So just make sure that you're planning ahead, because that is likely going to catch you by surprise if you're not prepared. Back to you guys.
Anytime
that's a big one.
Mess with
right.
Causes issues.
Your access to the beach will be take you a little longer.
You've been warned.
Too. Yeah. Still ahead, the FBI releasing new details about a deadly shooting at an ICE facility in Dallas from earlier this week.
And Humberto strengthening into a hurricane as it moves across the Atlantic. We are tracking the latest conditions.